Hi everyone, how are you? It's been a while since I've posted a video on this channel, and I wanted to come back and share a video for Guru Purnima, Goddess Purnima, as I called it last year, for those who might be interested in a bigger Goddess Purnima or Guru Purnima process. There's a video on the Star Family Wisdom YouTube channel that was posted last year that's a 9-day process that leads you in ceremony and through shamanic practice all the way up to Guru Purnima, and you can use it anytime. But that process was intended to be a gift, an offering for the collective, as an offering of gratitude from my journey and the consciousness reclamation work that I've been focused on. So I wanted to come back and share some insights and thoughts related to Guru Purnima that might be helpful for others, and with the intention of this being part of my completion with the Kaleshwar lineage. And I'll share a little bit more about what I mean in regards to completion. And I also want to talk a little bit about power and about karma and about the process of consciousness reclamation. Okay, so for those who've been following this channel, you likely have been connected to the lineage of Sri Kaleshwar, Swami Sri Kaleshwar, as he's known on this planet. I know Kaleshwar from many lifetimes, as a lot of you do, and my recollection of Kaleshwar has been a little different in this lifetime. My recollection of Kaleshwar has been on a peer level. And so I can speak about him, I can speak about his lineage, I can speak about the karmas that are present in his lineage from a place of not just having been his peer, but also having been his teacher in the past. And, we find ourselves on Earth wondering what we're doing here. And we find ourselves on a path of seeking. We find ourselves looking to those who demonstrate power, to those who carry power, to those who have embodied the harmony of creation in a way that makes us want that, or makes us feel very attached to following a set of parameters, processes, practices, dogma, teaching, whatever you want to call it. And so I want to talk a little bit about both the beauty of the Kaleshwar lineage, but also share a little bit more about my personal experience with the lineage and Kaleshwar as a gift, as an offering for those who are seeking that true path of enlightenment, that true path of consciousness reclamation, that true path of embodied divine love. This lineage is one that has been very focused on Jesus Christ and the timeline of Jesus and the practices, wisdom, teachings, processes that Kaleshwar brought forward to the world. He said stemmed from the ancient Indian palm leaf manuscripts, which were used by Jesus Christ in his process of consciousness reclamation, in his process of embodying the truth of the mother, of the divine feminine power of creation. That is true. And some of these practices and processes date way farther back than the time of Jesus. And within lineages like this, you find a lot of entanglements and a lot of karmas. These lineages are designed perfectly to support the clearing of karma, to support the seeing of karma, and to support learning about power, learning about the acquisition of consciousness, but learning how to use that in appropriate ways. So while the karmas of this lineage are very much tied to the time of Jesus in a lot of different ways, not all positive, the karmas are also tied to the times of Atlantis. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Atlantis for a moment, because this might be a missing piece in the historical context of karma or the historical context of soul evolution on Earth for those in this lineage who are interested in the embodiment of truth. Atlantis was a civilization that encompassed a wide spectrum of power. And you might have heard of Atlantis before. You might have heard of a civilization called Lemuria. Lemuria came before Atlantis, and they existed simultaneously. They coexisted. Lemuria was a much more nature-based, in-flow type of civilization and existence with nature. Atlantis took the path of acquiring a lot of power and utilizing technologies, both the types of technology we see in this world, but also spiritual technologies. There were a lot of high-level initiates in Atlantis who had lives, experiences in other civilizations, so they already carried a lot of soul power. And high-level initiates in Atlantis, some of them were very much focused on harmony with nature. Some of them were very much focused on ways in which we can very much embody the true harmony of nature, free from distortion, free from negative illusion. And then there were a lot of high-level initiates who also understood the mechanics of creation, the mechanics of existence, the energetic structure of creation and how creation works. And some of those initiates took that knowledge and that wisdom a little too far and started playing with creation energy in a way that was distorted, that was not in service or stewardship to life. The law of life is about the flourishing and thriving of life and not forcing creation. Creation likes to happen in a beautiful flow. Creation likes to happen from a place of communion, from a place of being in such deep communion and merging with all of these aspects of consciousness and creation to allow the emanation of creation to come through us. So there's a couple of different paths, to creation, and there's a couple of different sets of karmic parameters on this planet in relation to spiritual lineages that play with the power of creation. Some of those high-level initiates in Atlantis took a path that distorted the wisdom of the mother, that distorted the natural flow of creation. Some of those high-level initiates in Atlantis developed patterning around abusing power and abusing or misusing the power of creation. In this world, there have been many gurus who have both been able to demonstrate high positive, loving types of experiences for their followers, and there have been experiences where creation energies have been misused. Because of the karmas that we find ourselves entangled with, it can sometimes be very difficult to discern what is abuse of power? What is the misuse of creation energies versus what is a very divine process that a powerful being is showing us? That can be confusing sometimes, especially when another being carries a lot of power, when their soul carries a lot of power and we're karmically entangled with them. It can be very confusing. It can be very difficult to see truth. It can be very difficult to understand why certain things that have been taught or demonstrated might be out of alignment with the way creation wants to really operate and flow. So I want to talk a little bit about Kaleshwar, and this is with love. I love Kaleshwar. He's a brother to me in many ways. And it has caused me great grief to find his lineage and to engage it. And that grief has been because there has still been in this world, even in lineages that focus on things like the Divine Mother, even in lineages that focus on the idea of enlightenment and liberation, there has still been abuse of power. There has still been misuse of creation energies. And there have been a lot of healings. There have been a lot of beautiful aspects of what Kaleshwar brought forth to this world. So I don't deny that and I don't diminish that. And yes, there is the balance of light and dark in creation. Yes. Kaleshwar taught that, yes. And when we carry power, when we are wisdom keepers, we are also stewards of life. And we must be very, very mindful of the influence that we have on others. We have to be very, very mindful of the type of consciousness dynamics that get created. And we have to be very, very mindful of our engagement with creation energies in a way that does not distort the balance of the earth matrix, does not fragment and fracture souls in this world. And since this lineage has been very focused on Jesus Christ and Jesus's teachings and Jesus's demonstration of aligning with the will of God, with the will of the Father, with the highest divine path and highest path of service that was possible, with love in my heart for Kaleshwar, I invite everyone who finds this video, everyone in his lineage, to do a comparison study of how Jesus operated versus how Kaleshwar operated. I want to invite everyone to think about the ways Kaleshwar manipulated creation energy to demonstrate things over and over and over in excessive ways, and in ways that also created significant loss of life on this planet. I'll talk for a moment about some of the blood sport dynamics of Kaleshwar and his lineage. This occurred when he was alive. I don't believe this is occurring now because no one carries his same level of power now. But this is a good teaching and a good lesson for us all around the balance of creation and around the abuse of power, and around abuse of power that is masked in service to the Divine Mother and for the purposes of bringing forth divine energy on the planet. Some of you may be familiar with the Maheshwari initiation that Kaleshwar did. And again, I don't bring this up to shame or to judge. This is a teaching. This is a learning lesson for us all. The Maheshwari initiation included Divine Mother Darshan experiences for many people. I can't remember how many, 100 or so, 200 maybe, a very, very large group. When Kaleshwar pulled Mother Divine Darshan energies, what he's doing is pulling pure energy into the earth matrix to create a hologram of the Mother as a reflection of you. That is a mechanism that is possible in this earth matrix. That is a mechanism that is happening at all times, by the way. This is a Divine Mother Darshan. Hi. Everything is a Divine Mother Darshan. Everything is the Mother. The Mother is always reflecting to us and always speaking to us. Kaleshwar had the power and ability to demonstrate what is known as the Mother Divine Darshan experience, pulling pure creation energy into form, into a holographic form for a fleeting few moments or minutes to allow for an interaction. Because of how profound this experience is for people, and because of how that creation reflection affects people in such a divine way, in such a beautiful way, it can also be very difficult to understand why an event like that particular initiation event could be out of alignment. How could that be out of alignment? What am I even talking about here? Allow me to proceed. 100, 200, however many people got a beautiful experience. They got a reflection, a direct reflection of the Mother in that moment that had a profound impact on their souls. Having a Mother Divine Darshan experience does not make you enlightened. That does not evolve your consciousness for you. It gives you an enlightening experience, but there is still work to do to evolve your consciousness. There is still work to do to actually embody the virtues, truths, and intelligence of Source. One Mother Divine Darshan does not liberate you, and it does not evolve your consciousness to your highest blueprint. That is your work to do. So Kaleshwar gave people a beautiful experience, an experience that can be highly supportive for moving forward on the path, for having a direct experience of Source, which can also be experienced through plant medicine, through other spiritual practices, in less powerful ways. The Maheshwari initiation, because of the amount of creation energy that was drawing forth into the earth matrix in a forced way, that is a forced event. That was a forced event that happened. Because of that forced pulling of creation energy into the earth matrix, it created a tsunami in Southeast Asia. I believe this was maybe in 2004, if I'm remembering correctly. It was one of the very big ones that occurred that was very devastating and very traumatic for that area of the world. Kaleshwar had a tendency to talk about these things from the standpoint of that's just the offset. That's just what happens. And while yes, yes, there are offsets to high positive experiences, we experience the opposite for the purpose of balance. If we are a being that is wanting to hold the perfect balance of creation, we're going to experience both. And it's going to be our job from a consciousness standpoint to understand how that is coming together in our consciousness. And in general, birth, death, rebirth, that's the cycle, right? Like that's the cycle. We know this. And at the same time, there are even trades that one must understand in these sorts of dynamics, in these sorts of energetic dynamics. And that was not an even trade. That was an example of a high-level initiate. I'm going to call Kaleshwar a high-level initiate. He is a high-level initiate. He is a high-level initiate from the star races who incarnates on Earth and supports evolution, supports these sorts of experiences. He has had a tendency in the past to take things too far and to feed into distortion and imbalance. And that's what happened here. There was a significant loss of life and trauma that occurred for many people, way more than what received that Maheshwari initiation. And from what I can tell in this lineage and how it has evolved and where the state of consciousness is in this lineage, that Maheshwari initiation did not lead to high positive outcomes that would warrant that level of destruction on this planet. So Kaleshwar caused a high-level destruction event. Yes, sometimes destruction happens, and we accept that and allow it, and that's part of the natural cycles. That was not a natural occurrence. That was not part of the natural cycle. That was the will of a high-level initiate giving people a demonstration that then resulted in a major imbalance in the Earth matrix. That's what happened. That was not an even trade. That is not the only abuse of power that has happened in this lineage. When gurus are constantly demonstrating power through the manipulation of creation energies, that is typically a sign that there is some sort of distortion present, because the divine feminine way of creation looks way different. It looks like communion, it looks like flow, it looks like just pure joyful magic without forcing anything, without making anything happen. There is a whole nother way of operating in flow with the mother that is not that. There is also an element imbalance in the lineage. The fire chakra is way overactive, way overactive. We use fire to burn away negativity and illusion, and we use it as an ally in that. And we use it as an ally to help reveal truth, to help reveal light, to help peel back those layers of illusion and darkness that prevent the light from coming through. And when we do fire pujas so much, and when we use fire in the creation energy process so much, that can also create levels of intensity, levels of entanglement, levels of distortion in the human system that starts to lead to some of what has unfolded in this lineage. Kaleshwar taught a bit about this lineage being part of a greater mission, and at times illusions have formed around that, meaning that people must be doing something to combat negativity in this world, or that people must be utilizing the practices and processes and mantras of this lineage almost in opposition to what is in this world. That's not the path of enlightenment. That's not the path of embodying the mother's truth. That's not the path of learning about our soul's own truth. So we all have the opportunity to learn about our soul's own truth and what our karmic entanglements are with teachers or gurus or high-level initiates. And I think I've said this in a previous video, and I think we'll wrap up with this without going into too many more examples here, but power is love. Power is embodying the capacity for creation in the most loving ways. Power is holding unconditional love for all illusions while working to embody highest truth. Power is the demonstration of love. And when we're forcing the manipulation of creation energies and demonstrating that, we're probably not embodying the highest state of unconditional love that's possible. And Kaleshwar acknowledged that. Like, he acknowledged, that Jesus was a higher level master than him. He acknowledged that. And yet, there's almost been a tendency in this lineage to almost get aggressive towards those who speak anything that might be different than what Kaleshwar spoke. And anytime we find ourselves in a scenario where we've attached our entire belief system to what one person said, and we find ourselves becoming aggravated towards another who brings a different perspective, that might be a sign that we're not all the way in alignment. And that might be a sign that we're being highly triggered, which means there's karmas at play, which means there are negative illusions to peel back, which means we feel threatened, which means we don't feel secure in our path or in the wisdom we carry. There's a lot of distorted dynamics in this lineage that are masked in devotion to the mother, are masked in devotion to the divine. And Kaleshwar contributed to that. Kaleshwar taught a lot of that. And a lot of that is also congruent with other aspects of patriarchal spirituality on this planet. And that's the path of evolution that we're on. That's the path of evolution we're on in this world. We are healing from karmas that stem all the way back to Atlantean times. We are healing from the conflict that Atlantis created in this world. We're healing from abuse of power that started in Atlantis. We're healing from distorted spirituality on this planet. We're healing from the engagement with high-level, powerful beings who have not always demonstrated the most loving, high-level path of stewardship that's possible. So with any spiritual practice, any path of acquiring any sort of power or consciousness or doing anything in this world, we should always be asking ourselves, how am I stewarding life? How am I contributing to the beautiful creation of life? How am I contributing to bringing more beauty into this world, free from being in conflict with others, free from being in conflict with negativity, free from being in conflict with the world around us? And so I bring this to this channel to anyone who finds this, who might find it helpful, for the purpose of healing, for the purpose of acknowledging truth and speaking truth, for the purpose of recognizing the very, very long span of time and cycle of time that has occurred on this planet that has resulted in the karmas that are at play. And I bless everyone in this lineage on their path forward, free from any tendency to abuse power, free from the misuse of creation energies, free from distorted teachings that have been confusing. I bless Kaleshwar's healing. I bless his path forward and his path of redemption, knowing that he acquired significant karma on this planet during his last incarnation, knowing he did a lot of good for this planet, and that was part of his path of service. That was part of his path of redemption that he was already on. That path of redemption continues for him. So I share this with so much love for him, with forgiveness for him, and also with a big open heart for the times things I have said have been triggering. I know I've been triggering. I know I've triggered a lot of people, and I love you all. And it's been part of my duty and my dharma to just speak truth and to not try to change things, not be in conflict with it, but to just speak truth and to allow my process to lead me to a place of completion where I felt like I could fully let go of him and any conflict I felt with him, any conflict I felt with the lineage, any conflict I have felt with spirituality on this planet, any conflict that my soul has felt at times being on this planet, navigating the conditions that exist on this planet. So I offer this as a gift. I offer this as a moment of healing. I offer this as permission to leave the lineage. I offer this as permission to let go of Kaleshwar. He doesn't have to be your guru. You can choose. You don't have to have him as your guru if you don't want to. He loves you. You love him. I love him. It's all good. He doesn't have to be your guru anymore. We're, I think, evolving to a place where the time of human gurus is coming to an end for a lot of different reasons. And it has been important on my path to not lean too far into teaching and into the guru path, because that's not my path in this lifetime. I had a short period of time where that was part of my path and where all the things with Star Family Wisdom came to life. But my path has been evolutionary in so many ways, and I'm not just one thing. And so I have been on the journey of acquiring all of the hidden parts of my consciousness that got hid when I came into the Earth Matrix, and finding those again and reclaiming them and having fun meeting myself, meeting my truth, and doing that from a place of forgetfulness, which is wild. It's a wild experience to go through, to come into this Earth Matrix, completely forget everything, and then go through the process of awakening. Absolutely extraordinary. Highly recommend it. I've said that to the Galaxy team many times. Like, highly recommend that. Like, that is such a boon to the soul. That is such a beautiful experience for the soul's evolution. Even if you're a soul that has already transcended the third dimensional or fourth dimensional experience, come back into it and forget it and awaken through it again. It is amazing and challenging. And so my journey has been about awakening to the highest level I can, about remembering my lives off planet, about remembering my star race lives as they have interacted with Earth, about remembering the powerful lives I've carried on Earth, and how all that comes together now in this life to inform my path forward, to inform my embodiment of creative ability and fun and flow and prosperity and play and pleasure and peace, and to allow that full experience of the mother to be my reality, and to allow her miraculous nature to flow through me for the good of others, as it already has been, but now in even more fun ways. So my journey of significant transmutation of human distortion, negative patterns, limitations is coming to an end. And so as part of that completion, I wanted to offer this video, this transmission, this gift as a thank you to those who I connected with on this path, to those who followed this channel, to those who have been brave to embody their soul's truth and to allow that to guide them on this planet. So know that you are so blessed, you are so loved, you are so able to embody your highest creative ability on this planet, and it probably doesn't look anything like what you learned in the Kaleshwar lineage. It probably looks a little different. Can those processes and practices and mantra systems be utilized to help us meet our own distortions and illusions and negativity, and to help call back the parts of our souls that went missing? Yes, absolutely. Are there a lot of other rabbit holes you can fall into that are karmic and potentially about ego power? Yes. Be careful. Just do your soul work. Follow your path. Follow your path. No one else is here to tell you what your path is. No other human on this planet is here to tell you what your path is. That's your mission. That's your job, your soul's light and truth to embody. So embody it fearlessly. Embody it fearlessly, knowing that knowing that I have gone into immense darkness and negativity to transmute it and to find my way back home. And with this video, I'm also fully calling my power back from Kaleshwar and reclaiming that in this lifetime. I am freeing myself from my karmic engagement with him and wishing him well on his path forward, and allowing myself to go free, allowing myself to fully live the life I want to live without entanglements to those teachings and to his approach, knowing that my approach is very different. My approach to working with the mother, knowing the mother, embodying the mother, creating with the mother is very different. And we all have different approaches, and that's okay. It's a beautiful thing to have different approaches. And his approach is not the only way, and it has been a slightly distorted way. And so I wanted to share that as a truth. I hold love in my heart for all souls who found themselves with Kaleshwar, knowing I've been there too. Knowing I've been there too. So if you find yourself in a position where you're detaching a little and you're letting go and you're moving on in a different way in life and freeing yourself from that lineage, you go for it. It's all good. You can still hold love in your heart for him and the entire galaxy of light beings who are in service to Earth's loving evolution also love you and want to work with you and want to be there for you. So open your heart to the very wide spectrum of beings of light who know you, who know your soul, who can support you, We don't have to source our teachers and gurus and support purely from earth anymore. So I invite you to also reach up to the stars and ask who's your guru in the stars? Who's your soul aligned support teacher and friend from the galaxy team, from Star Family? Who might you know off this planet who can help you, who can guide you, who can help you awaken to more of your soul's truth and more of the path of creation that is in flow with nature, that is not forced, that is the path of revelation, that is the path of allowing, that is the path of coming into communion with life. When it was time for me to start walking that path, my star family woke me up and they started communicating with me. So the entire time I've been navigating the lineage of Kaleshwar off and on over the last couple of years, I've also been in communication with Star Family, and I've been in communication with the council, and I've been going back and forth, having this interaction, this dialogue about what's going on here on Earth. Like, what am I finding here, and why are things the way they are, and having this very fluid exchange that has allowed me to broaden my perspective, that has allowed me to hold a much bigger perspective of self, of the galaxy, of Earth. So I invite everyone to take that path if that feels good to you. And I love you. I know that sometimes hearing things about your teacher, your guru, can be highly triggering and uncomfortable. And for those who watched this and made it this far, thank you for opening to that discomfort and asking, the questions about that discomfort. Discomfort and triggers help us find our attachments. They help us find, where we have been entangled in certain illusions that might be butting up against truth. And so it's so good to listen to that discomfort and to listen to that sense of feeling triggered or agitated or angry, whatever it is. That's usually a first sign that there is something in us. There is something more truthful in us that wants to come forward. So allow that to come forward. I love you. And I wish you all of the blessings for your highest path forward, for your highest embodiment of truth on this planet. Bye for now.